Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday Night Book Club. I'm Leah Pearson, Emerald Ambassador. Excited to connect with you guys tonight on the book, The Sales Game. We're going over chapters 2 and 3 for this week and really have been loving the content. Thought that this week was great information too, very similar to a lot of things that we already talk about within our culture, which when I hear things over and over, I just always think we need to hear it. If it's coming from multiple people, it must be that important. And a lot of what he was talking about reminded me of some things I've heard from John Maxwell and Ed Milet, and we'll get into that. But really, really good stuff. Chapter 2, he talked about the sales loop, which just really introduced a lot of great thoughts on how your customers and your prospects, these are just a couple of things that stood out to me. They can be a mirror to you and things that you have not closed yourself on. And when he's saying that, like things that you are not personally sold on, or mindset issues, or things that you struggle with, your customers or your prospects are going to be a mirror of your belief in that area. And I think that is so true. I've seen that over and over with people I've coached over the years and just different things. And he also talked about how your energy and conviction goes through the roof if you can close yourself on your own personal objections, basically, which is back to what we preach all the time here, building your own belief. And he basically asked the question, how can you close someone if you aren't closed on the idea yet? And I think that if there's specific objections that always come up for you, or specific like cyclic thoughts that you are often feeling or saying on coaching calls, limiting beliefs that you know keep coming up, those are things that are just being revealed, that it's really important to make sure that you are working on that and closing yourself, as he says, so that you can move forward. And he states that you will only close others to the degree that you are personally closed. He called this your sales threshold. And I loved the hat analogy, sales threshold, like it's a cap, right? He said your inner game is a cap to your results. And he explains this more in chapter 3 about the inner game. He talks about self-esteem being connected to whether you're following through on what you said you're going to do or not, which is stuff that we've talked about in book clubs before. Essentially having alignment with what you believe and how prospects can sense that, even just in conversation, and like subconsciously, like those are things that you're putting out, and how that affects your energy. And the energy piece, it just reminded me, I don't know if it was a year or two ago, I felt like it came up on group coaching, on all levels, like on the gold call, on the jewel call. I felt like lots of people were asking the question about how to create energy and lead with energy as a leader, or how to bring fresh energy to your team. And I think that if that is something that you have wondered and thought about, this is the chapter that you need to read and maybe return to at some point on your journey too. I think that's something that probably comes up for everybody at some time or another. He talks about how you can try to skip the inner game work, or like working on that inner threshold or that cap. But if you try to skip it, that you are going to stay stuck. Basically, you are going to stay capped. And I think that's really, really important. Like, this is something that I think would be really easy to blow over and like, okay, well, just give me strategy. Like, what else do I need to do? But that inner work is so important in every area of our life, not just our businesses. He asked the question, where is your energy right now? And if it isn't through the roof 24/7, then you have something that you're lying to yourself about. This is on page 85. Did anybody else see that? Get convicted by that? Circle it. If you did not, you need to go back and reread that section. Circle that part. He asked, I'm going to say it again, where is your energy right now? If it is not through the roof 24/7, then you have something that you are lying to yourself about. Page 85. Did you answer him on this? And reflect on what you might be lying to yourself about. That might be a good discussion topic for your next coaching call. That's what I was thinking. I should probably have that talk on my next coaching call. So connect with your sponsor on that. I think that'd be really powerful. This whole chapter, I kind of said this in the beginning, really reminded me of what Ed Milet talks about as far as your identity being a thermostat. I don't know if anybody has heard Ed Milet talk about that or remember that from the book that we just read. If you want a great follow-up podcast on this topic, one of his podcast episodes is called Control Your Identity, Change Your Life. Control Your Identity, Change Your Life. That's an Ed Milet podcast. It is a great follow-up to this chapter and would be just really helpful to follow up with this discussion. So I like what he talked about with you cannot just throw out affirmations too. Like you can't just stand in the mirror and just say these affirmations, but truly like you need to focus on like restructuring your identity was a lot of chapter 3, right? And I wanted to touch on that because I know we've talked about affirmations like as a team before, and I think that they can be a powerful tool. They've been super helpful for me in my journey for sure, but they have to be a part of restructuring your identity and what you believe, and not just something that you mindlessly chant or like wishfully repeat. Lisa, the podcast is called Control Your Identity, Change Your Life by Ed Milet. Control Your Identity, Change Your Life. So you can't just mindlessly chant or wishfully repeat affirmations. You can't just mindlessly repeat over and over, I am diamond, and think that you're going to be diamond just by doing that. You have to shift your thermostat, like what Ed Milet talks about, shift your identity and break through that threshold that you set over yourself and work on your inner game, truly believing that you can become a diamond, work on who a diamond is on the inside. And I believe that, yeah, you can speak that out 100%. I think we all should be doing that because there's power in our words, 100%, but it has to be a part of a transformation process. So I think that that is really an important distinction there. He talked about selling yourself with this new identity, and he went into the 3 steps for how to do that, which I thought was really good. I'm not going to go over all of those, but this is central. This is like the foundation that we need, is restructuring our identity. And like what Ed Milet says, like basically like your identity is a thermostat. You're only going to heat up as high as what it's set at. Like you're not going to be able to exceed it. And that's exactly what he was talking about here with that sales threshold. Like you're going to reach a certain threshold where you're going to have to do some inner work in order to see growth. So if you feel like you've kind of had a threshold of success here, this is the key chapter for you and for me too. So would love to just open it up for discussion. Anything that stood out to you, like with the 3 steps, or anything that he talked about as far as like the new identity, the inner game, anything like that, would love to hear from you guys here.
Okay, I'm gonna jump right in because I don't know if I can stay on the whole time. And I wanted to touch back a little bit on, you touched on it a little bit, Leah. You mentioned page 85, saying, where is your energy right now? But I had page 83 like marked everywhere. And I loved when he said, everything is either a transfer of conviction or a transfer of skepticism. And if we are not convicted fully, 150%, it's going to come off as skepticism, even if it's just 1% skepticism. That's what they're going to get. Mm-hmm. And that really made me think, I mean, we always go back to belief, right? And that is such the core, but the follow-up idea I wanted to touch on was 2 little sentences or paragraphs after that. In simple terms, liars lack energy. And liars, not in the way that we think of a liar, but being untruthful with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And the word authenticity and authentic just kept coming back to me as I was reading. And I know we use that a lot, but it's so true, because if we are pretending to be someone we're not, or if we're not portraying ourselves on the outside the same as what we are in the inside, like that is not in alignment. People can smell that a million miles away. Mm-hmm. And so these are the 2 things I really think that just hold people back from success. And there's a lot of us that have been at the same place for a very long time. And there's nothing wrong with that. That means that we're learning and we have to be here to get to where we need to go. But I love it that now we know what we can work on. Because if we still keep saying the same things, doing the same things, we're going to stay where we're at.
Mhm.
And if we want to grow, we have to do the growing. And that a lot of times is growth in ourselves. Like, I don't remember how many diamonds I've heard saying, I was stuck until I went to counseling, or I was stuck until I hired a life coach, or, like they had to do a lot of deep inner work before their businesses took off. And um, at the time I was like, oh, whatever, that just seems a little ridiculous, but it's really not. It's really not, because if you're not in alignment with yourself, then that inauthenticity is so detectable by everyone else. Even if you're fooling yourself, you're not fooling them. Um, so anyway, I'll stop, but I just wanted to really touch on just those couple of sentences. So thank you for your intro. You did a great job.
Thanks. That was really good. That's exactly what I was thinking is authenticity. Was it alignment or authenticity that he used as a word? And I was thinking the opposite of that one. Like it goes hand in hand. That's good. Who else?
I really um like the section where he's talking about where most people, salespeople and business owners, hold subconscious beliefs that sabotage them, such as I'm only worth a certain dollar amount. I think most, yeah, like you said, most everyone has subconsciously attached an amount as to what we think we're worth or what we deserve. And it's tied to what we've been told, it's tied to what we've done in the past. Um, the failures, the perceived failures, the mistakes, the slips, all the things all seem to over time deduct from that dollar amount. And like if we're looking at it from a place of we are created as masterpieces by our Lord and Savior, and He's washed us clean of all the things that we seem to attach to our value and our worth, um, for the purpose of being able to reign in His kingdom with Him for eternity. Like we're royalty, we are His children, and then couple that with, the Bible verse, I have come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. Like our God is an abundant God that wants big things for us. He wants his children to do big things, to receive big gifts from him so that they can go out and do amazing things with the gifts that he's given, with the talents that he's given. But in our society, it's very easy to get a mindset of, first of all, I don't deserve it. And if I want it, it's greed. And there is the heart check that goes along with that, where we do have to be mindful because we are sinful human beings with sinful desires and hearts, that we have to know where we're working from and what that intention is. But he wants abundance in the hands of his children. And he wants full lives for all of his children, and he sees us as his beautiful masterpieces in that. And so just remembering what the Lord says about it all is just so important. He doesn't lie. There isn't a false word that comes from him. So yeah, that's a really good section.
I love that. One thing I've been thinking about a lot is praying again and asking God to give me his vision for my business. Like, and I just wanted to speak that over you guys too. Like, you are here for a specific reason. He called you here, and he has a great plan for you of abundance, like what Shelly just said. And he has the vision, and we need to pray and ask for that vision, and then we need to write it down so that we can run, like it says in Habakkuk. If you want to be able to run in your business, ask God for fresh vision. Ask him to give you his eyes to see, because I think our eyes could go from this to this when we get weary, So what is his vision? God, give me eyes to see. Good stuff, Shell.
I appreciated his take on when you have a good day. So he talked about like the $1,000 day and how that is a peak for a lot of people, or it might seem like a peak. And then, so most people will go out and blow that or celebrate or whatever. But then he's like, reframe that as your like baseline. So then that becomes like what you expect of yourself every day. And I thought that that was a really interesting take, just a good way to think about like, because I know like even for myself, like you go through like the peaks of you've had a really good month or you've had a really good day or a week or whatever, and then maybe it kind of slows down and you're like, eh. But just taking that and being like reminding yourself that you were capable of it and you are capable of doing it again day after day after day. And I really just, I don't know, I just really liked his take on that.
Yeah, that's really good.
I think that's so important with goal setting. Like,
Hmm.
we've all had that month where we're like, okay, this is above and beyond what I've ever done before. It's been a really good month, point wise or join wise or whatever. But then we get to the next month and we hardly dare hope for that to happen again. So we're just going to go back to setting a goal of 3 joins a month and getting +1 or whatever that may be, right? Which there's nothing wrong with 3 joins a month. Let me just say that. But if you've gotten above and beyond that, like maybe your high is 1 join.
Hmm.
Okay, so then you're going for the next, and then you end up with 2 or 3 joins in a month. But then the following month, you're going to set your goal back at 1 join because that's safe, and that feels like doable for me, right? I love what you just said, Rochelle, because raising that bar of what the bare minimum is going to be as far as what we're shooting for is so important. We did it this month, we can do it again. So let's raise it. Let's leave it there. Like that's the new standard, like you said. I think that's amazing. It's one way that we just raise the view of ourselves and what we're able to accomplish.
I think so often we think of reframing thoughts as we have to reframe just like that negative thing that came, but that is a reframing too, like reframing your standard, your thermostat, what you're capable of. Yeah, so good. And that's the identity shift, right? Because it's like, no, this is the person I am now. This is what I do. Who else? Anybody else choke at the $30,000 for his speaking or whatever it was? It's like, well, I got an identity issue then. I don't. Hmm.
That was a section that stood out a lot to me, was that $30,000 speaking thing. I was like, oh boy, how much is my time worth?
Yeah.
Right. And, but then I kept thinking, then he went back onto this part and it says, on page 100, your worth isn't in the minutes that you invest, but in the transformation, the solution, and the tangible results that you bring to another person's life or business.
Hmm.
I literally like put hearts in highlighter around that because I was like, that is what we do here.
Yeah.
That's why we do what we're doing. It's not necessarily the minutes, the amount of time that we're spending with somebody, but it's the results that we are giving them, the way that we make them feel, the way that their bodies are healing, the way that their minds are being renewed, the self-esteem that they're getting from what we do here. That is what we do. And that is what is so important here. And if we're loving our people well, then it doesn't matter if we're spending an hour with them or if we're spending 10 minutes with them. We need to know and believe that what we have is going to change their life. And I just keep thinking, going back on that, like I had that unshakable belief at the very beginning of my business here. And life happened and I tuned in just tonight when Janelle had been talking about how, you know, people can sense the difference between your inward self and what's coming out on the outside. And it was along those lines. Anyway, I have a lot of heart issues right now, just in my just life. And while I have a huge heart and I want to like serve and help and just do everything for everybody, there's a lot of things that um I'm afraid of. And so I'm not necessarily taking my whole heart and wholeheartedly trusting in what God has in store for me. And that is what's making a huge difference in my life. And when I started thinking about that, I'm also listening to I think it's called Dare to Lead from Brene Brown. And that was one of the things in her book just today that I got to was that like if you lead wholeheartedly, like open up that space. And that's where I think for us in Plexus, we love our people well. And that's where we can open up wholeheartedly, even on these book clubs. And that's why I love book club with this group of people, because you can truly open up. We can be honest about where our hearts are, where our businesses are, what our feelings are about different things. And just the fact that like this is how we build our business is literally because we change people's lives. The way they feel, the way they look, the way they think. I mean, when I first started this, I remember like sitting in tears on some of these book club nights. My heart got a little hardened since then. I'm not quite as emotional on different things now, but I'm like, wow, like I remembered some of those nights, like it just all of us just sitting here with tears in our eyes, like, and it's because we were all just loving each other and loving our teams really well. And that's just, I don't know, it's in the results that we bring to another person's life or business. And there's really nothing that can beat that. If we're willing to love people well and cheerlead them on, whether they are doing a great job or whether they're kind of in a rut, it doesn't matter. We just need to keep loving them and loving them well.
That's good. And I think that we can have, like, if you struggle with approaching potentials or like continuing to engage conversations, that's what I was thinking at that section, Emily, was we can have such confidence because we know the transformation that is coming. Number one, like for our customers, that's the first thing I was thinking. And then secondly, we can have confidence in getting paid really well because as your business grows, I think you talked about this in the last chapter, like you're going to get paid way more than what you think you're worth, but you can have confidence in that paycheck coming in because, and not feel bad about it because of the value that you've offered and the transformation that is happening exponentially because you've raised up leaders. Like we can always have confidence because we are in a transformational business. So it's all good on all fronts. I love that. Who else?
So to go along with what everybody's been saying, I like on page 100, it says the shift in perspective was not just a business lesson, it was a fundamental recalibration of my identity and the true value I bring to the world. And that really spoke to me because it's more than just a business lesson, but it's actually um, finding what worth you bring to the world. And you can't bring value to the world if you don't know what your worth is. And so I thought that that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I feel like all his quotes are just like a mic drop. Like every section, it's like, oh, that's good. Highlight it. Oh, that's good. Highlight it. Anybody else?
along that with that, it says of the true value I bring to the world, but I think of the true value it brings to me also. I've just grown and changed so much, my mindset, my just in who I am, what I think, how I act, how I feel, what I bring to others by what I have learned and grown from this group, mindset changes, just everything. So there's God brought me to this place for a special reason, even if it's not for my health, even if it's not for somebody else's health, even if it's just for me and for my mindset. I have grown so much, and it's just been a huge gift to me. So I have loved that part of it. And then the gift that I get from knowing each and every one of you guys too is just such a gift all the way around.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that, Vicki. Are you red lighting?
I am.
You got a glow.
Every single day.
I love it. My kind of lady. So true.
The whole price objection thing that we come into contact with, and I have thought to myself many times in those moments where somebody's, maybe bringing up a cost objection, that there are so many people that I could just name off the top of my head that would probably go back, and because of what they've experienced thus far on the products and how they've been able to reverse a diagnosis or get off medications or just show up for their life, for their family the way they wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
where they would pay 3 times what the cost of our products actually are. And I know I am in that place. I mean, because of what it's done for me. That's not even talking about the opportunity, the product, and what it did for me 8+ years ago. And when I started, I thought it was expensive, but I'm also Dutch. I think most things are expensive, but um, and we had to make room for that in our budget. But it needed to happen. And looking back, like I would have paid way more.
Yeah.
Lives changed, and when we're being able to give people something that offers quality and quantity of life, most people see that as an amazing gift if that's how we're presenting it, and that's what we're confident in when we're presenting it to them. Because a lot of people have gone through life situations that have been hard, and they view life differently after they've gone through hard stuff. They're like, yeah, it's worth it. I can swap this out. I can pay for this and just get rid of that instead. For sure, I can do that.
Again, that's back to mindset. You can do it if you want to. That talking about your story of like, well, can we afford it? Well, you can change your budget. And we have that similar story with, we had our kids in Christian education, and we weren't making very much money, but we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And we really didn't notice what was going out for that every month. And then looking back, somebody asked my husband, well, because they were having trouble with their kid in a different school and out of town, and they were thinking about sending them to Mitchell Christian, and they said, what were your thoughts on Mitchell Christian? And he said, I would pay 3 times the price to have them in there again. So kind of like that, if it's important to you, you make it work. And that's how we have to explain it to other people too, is if it's important to you, you can make it work. Do you like being sick? Do you like feeling like crap? You can make room for your budget, cut out your coffees, buying your coffees. You can make really good coffees at home if you know how. And so, yeah, we just have to switch things around, and we have to present that to them in that way and make them see the importance of it. Do you like being sick, or would you like to feel better? You can do that. Yes, it's going to cost you something, but guess what? It's going to cost you more on the other end. And then you're going to be on meds, but which cause other side effects, and which cause need to be sometimes on more meds. And so I'm not saying that meds aren't necessary sometimes, but yeah, it's just a switch in the mindset. If it's important, you can do it.
And that's our follow-up process, is giving them enough information so that they can make that decision and be confident with moving forward, right? Like if they're not ready to move forward, they probably don't have enough information or don't have the belief that you have yet. So good stuff. One last call. It's 9:31. Anybody else? We can afford what's important to us. Yes, Lisa. Amen to that. I can't tell you how broke I was when I bought my $1.99 welcome pack. All right, ladies. Thanks for coming on. I will see you guys next week. I think it's 3 and 4, or no, what do we do? 2 and 3. So it's 4 and 5 next week. So check your schedule because that might not be right. But anyway, thanks for joining. We will see you then. Have a good night.